What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to the Bad Podcast, Brad and Dawain. And unfortunately, we're not in the same place like we were last time, man. So it's always good when Brad is in town and we get to chop it up together in the studio. We had a great guest. If you didn't check that episode out, man, go back, check it out. Mr. Will Kata from across the pond, owner of No Limit, also pro bodybuilder and Each One Premium coach. So just want to throw that out there, man. But so Brad, man, that was last week. What we talking about this week, man?
We're going to talk about quitting, man. And I got a quote out of my new book, Up and Coming, that will be launched around June of 2026. This is an excerpt out of chapter 5. Most people quit the grind because progress feels invisible. Early wins are exciting. The first pounds drop, the first rush of success. Then comes the plateau. Change slows. Growth seems absent. That's the grind's cruel trick. It convinces you nothing is happening when in reality, everything is happening. Foundations are being poured. Roots are spreading deep. Character is being forged. Quit here and you'll never see the breakthrough. Persist and you'll discover a version of yourself you didn't know existed.
Wow. Brad, I promise you're poetic, man.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
What it look like, what it be like, what it do. Back in here again, baby. Another episode of the Bad Podcast, Brad and Dawain. And this episode is sponsored by you. That's right. You that are watching, you that are listening, that have a small business or a big business or want a place to really put your information out there, man. You can actually become a sponsor of this podcast. All you gotta do is reach out to Brad. He'll take care of the rest. I just threw Brad in there. But no, real talk, man. Real talk. Shoot Brad an email and we'll get some information to you about that. But yeah, so sponsors are open if you're interested. Actually, so there's a couple of people that reached out to me like when we first started out, Brad, and we weren't in a place where we could do anything. So if you're watching and you're listening, we are ready for you. So anyway, man. Anyway, always excited to be behind the microphone, my brother Brad. Let's talk about this quitting thing, man. So I will say this, everybody know my favorite player is Michael Jordan. And one of the things that actually made my ears perk up when I joined E2M years ago is Jeff quoting Michael Jordan. And he said, Michael Jordan says, once you quit one time, quitting becomes easy. And that stuck with me, B, like that, because I knew it, but it was there, but it didn't like register, like, and then I actually was able to witness it, like, oh, okay, if you don't show up, then the next time it's easier not to show up. Then the next time it's easy, it becomes stockpile, man. But just talking about that quitting thing, and like you mentioned, stopping, when you're really close, that's kind of where it hit me.
Yeah, man. That also resonates with me really well. Can you hear me on that side?
Yeah, we're good now.
Okay. Being an educator of a decade, you see this often in sports, and I had a handful of repeat offenders. They would, try out for the sport. They'd make the team because a lot of these kids are athletic or very capable of performing in that specific sport. But it was known that this kid would quit around week 3 every year. They'd get through the hardest session of the football season. Those double sessions, the heat of August, they would make it through the hardest parts of the season. And then once we'd start playing games, because they weren't getting adequate playing time, or they were frustrated with this, that, or the other, they'd quit, right? And that becomes a part of your identity. Just like persevering is a part of some people's identity. And I was looking at this research paper just recently, and they say 92% of people quit right before they see the progress. A lot of these athletes that I coached along the way, they were a day away from getting on the starting lineup. They were a week away from, cracking that starting lineup. But instead of making it that one extra day, or instead of making it that one extra week, and seeing the progress and seeing the fruit of their labor, they'd give up. And I think that's just, that's an innate habit in us to give up just short of that breakthrough, because, when frustration arises, it's just easier to, take that first exit. And so, like with our fitness journey, Dawain, it's pain is there, discomfort is there. It's there more days than it's not.
For sure.
And I think that pain almost has to be a reminder that you didn't come this far just to come this far. Keep going. What do you want your identity to be? And I think that's the big picture is your legacy, your identity, how you want to be remembered, who you want to be as a figure in society when you go 6 feet under. So, and I know that's a little deeper than I wanted to go with this, but when you're long gone. How do you want folks to speak of you? I'm not the most talented bike rider. I'm not the most talented runner. I'm not the most talented motivational speaker or personal trainer or any of that. But I'm somebody that puts myself out there on the front lines and says, you know what? Why not give it a shot? And I'm not going to quit. Even if I'm never the best at anything, I'm never going to quit because, when I am 6 feet under, I want my kids to speak of dad as that guy that never quit trying. I want my wife to speak of hubby, like that guy just went all in every day on being a dad, on being a husband, on being somebody in philanthropy, on being a personal trainer and a motivator. That's how I want to be remembered. And I think that's something that we miss out on, is seeing that long game legacy.
Ooh, you got deep.
That's long-winded. Deep, long-winded.
Deep, brother. No, I mean, so I'm gonna back up a little bit. We're gonna reverse out of the grave real quick, and go back to the part of quitting. I think, and I've seen it for myself. A lot of times, right before you mention that breakthrough or that day or whatever, it's really, really hard. Like most people don't quit on easy days.
Right.
They quit on the day where it's really, really challenging and it's really, really hard, not knowing what's on the other side. Like, because in their mind, they think that, okay, it's gonna suck again tomorrow, and I mean, most time it is, but the ultimate is after. A lot of motivation speakers say, your hardest moment is before your breakthrough. First is, even the great book said, weeping may endure for a night, but joy in the morning. Like, it's the hardest. The hardest thing is going to be first. And so, and a lot of times when you face those hard, challenging moments, that lets you know you're that much closer. You're that much closer to getting to, that opportunity or, that milestone or whatever it is. I mean, it applies to so many things, and it's never on the easy days. The easy, like I said, I don't know anybody that quit on the easy days. I remember this, man, so vividly. I was, my high school was one of the county schools, and the city over was Clinton, and they were the city school. That's what they called them, Clinton City. And we was Hopton. We was in the county school. So we were 1A and they were 2A. They, supposed to be national champ guys, all of that. And one day, because my senior year, we was actually really good. We was practicing, and I never forget this guy. His name, dang, what was his name? I can't remember his name, but we was at practice, and he walks on the field. Everybody recognized him. We know him from that school. He walks on the field. Was like, "Where Coach Britt?" He was like, "He over there." He went over there to talk to Coach Britt. So apparently, at the school, he was either got on to or late or something, and he got fussed out and he left. He was like, "You know what? I'm leaving. Hopton got a better squad. I'm gonna go to their school."
Oh, wow.
So he pretty much quit the team. He pretty much verbally quit, drove down the highway, came to our practice, and talked to our coach. Was like, "I want to join y'all team." And coach was like, "What are you like? What? This is late August. Like, what are you talking about? You live in Clinton." And he was like, "Yeah, I can stay with my aunt, blah, blah, blah." But I said all that to say, it was in that moment that, he quit because coach got on him. It was frustrating. Our coach talked him off the ledge, sent him back down the road. He ended up, apologizing to the coach, having a great season. Like it's just so amazing that, that hard time just calls you to do it. You don't even, sometimes people don't even know how out of whack they are because of the difficult aspect of it. And that's why they turn to quitting, man. And so this is our job to remind you, don't quit when it's the hardest. That's when one of my favorite sayings, that's when you put your mouthpiece in and you buckle that chin strap. When it's the hardest, that's when you really bear down, man, and you push forward, man. So yeah, I think this resonate with both of us because we both went kind of deep.
100%. Yeah.
We both went kind of deep there.
Hey, man. Yes, I can.
Yes, I
Yes, I
can.
can.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
Hey, just my shameless plug. I've been holding this, and last week I was holding this the entire time, or I had it around my neck, or 2 weeks ago, and I never mentioned it. So I got to do my shameless plug right now. Yes, I can. This is the Eager to Run Step Jam medal, folks. This thing speaks to who you could be. I can. I will. Dream bigger. Fierce. Achiever.
Yes.
And when you can convince yourself that yes you can be an achiever. But just to speak to what you're saying, I think a lot of times when we hit rock bottom or when we think we have lost and we're down and out, we think that's the infinite ending for us. But when you hit rock bottom, when you hit the ground like that, that's a reminder that I get something to push off, and I think what do they say, that the night is darkest before the dawn, or something along those lines. It is always going to be quite a bit harder before it becomes easier. And I don't know if easier is even the word to use.
It's not.
Yeah, I think you just kind of get more accustomed to that thing, right?
Yeah.
Like when I get on the bike, man, when I first started, so I started 4 months ago. And I remember my first ride was a 15-mile ride or a 20-mile ride. And I was like, wow, this is extremely difficult. And, now I'm doing 80 miles, and those first 20 miles, it's just like, again, not easier. Yeah, it's a warm up. It's a warm up. And there's a quote that goes along with that. What you can do now is once impossible, but now it's your warm up. I used to be able to not do 5 push-ups, and now it's my warm, whatever. But I think the longer you stay in the game, and the longer that you sort of fall in love or obsessed, is what Gary Vee says, be obsessed with the process. I think once you can, fall in love with that process and stop even looking at the big picture milestone or finish lines and start focusing on those milestones. If you want to lose 50 pounds, or if you want to be financially stable, or if you want a great relationship, or if you want to thrive in your place of profession, stop striving for that and work on one area that's going to build you up to that. This young individual that you were speaking of, Dawain, he wanted to be this stud on the team, but instead of being the stud on the team, he went back and had a conversation with the coach. That was very difficult for him mentally and emotionally, I'm sure. But you take those small steps to get you to where you want to be. He wanted to be the guy.
Yep.
Well, to be the guy, sometimes you got to do some uncomfortable things, like have a conversation, like get out of bed, like get on the bike, like get to the gym. Those are small milestones, small goals that you can set that align with the big picture. So I think sort of dismantling this idea that I'm going to be on the stage tomorrow, or I'm going to reach my finish line tomorrow. What can you do to build from the ground up and get you to the stage or get you to that finish line? Break it down into small goals and adapt each day. You got to be adaptable mentally and physically. Every day is going to present a new obstacle. Are you able to pivot? Are you able to evolve with those obstacles? And I think that's a lot of the issues with this 92% of folks. Like, they just can't adapt. Like, my alarm clock didn't go off. All right, well, today's shot. I spilt my lunch. Well, I'm just going to start on Monday. I call my mom out quite often, and Monday Warriors. I love you guys, Monday Warrior. But just because you had a little bit of a hiccup today and you had to pivot, and just because something didn't align with your expectation today, don't allow your expectations to overwhelm you. I think expectations are really valuable. But when you have expectations and your life doesn't align with that, give yourself some grace and say, hey, today's not an A day; it's a B or C day. But and I quote Mandy quite often: "All there's something," right? And it's those something days that bridge the gap from the person that you used to be to the person that you want to be.
Yeah, shout out Mandy. She got a lot of quotes. Another one that she does is your best looks different every day.
Every day.
You know,
Every
that's
day.
another one
Mhm.
that Mandy says, and it's the truth. You know, your best look different. You know, I was it a couple weeks ago. Well, yeah, it might have been a couple weeks ago. I was bragging about hitting those hundos 10 times.
Yeah,
Well, guess
yeah.
what? I got
Mhm.
them 8 times this morning.
Yeah.
Like,
How about that?
you know what I'm saying? Your best is different. You know,
Mhm.
that's as far as they'll go today.
Mhm.
You know, and it wasn't a defeat, a loss.
Mhm.
It was just like, hey, this is where we at today.
Mhm.
I'm gonna give it my best,
Yeah.
and I sat them bad boys back on that rack.
Yeah.
You know, but and it's not a loss.
Right.
It's the loss would be still laying in the bed, which I wanted to do. I
Oh,
ain't even gonna
yeah.
hold you.
Hey.
I wanted to do,
Got the
fellas.
thumbs up,
I
boy.
did. I got the thumbs up joint. I wanted to do it, ladies and gentlemen.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
did. It was extra cozy. I
Yeah.
snoozed it twice, and I said, man, you know what? Second place is laying in the bed. Let me get up and be a first
Yes, sir. I
place.
love that. You know, I was just I was listening to something recently too. I am a big supporter of sleep being extremely
Yeah.
important. I know it's important. You know it's important. Everybody knows sleep is important.
Mhm.
But an extra 10 minutes is not going to change the game. It's not going to
No.
change your life if you get an extra 10 minutes. And oftentimes a snooze button is around that 10 minutes. I think mine's at 8 minutes.
Mhm. With the new iPhone, you can actually customize your snooze
Hey,
amount. Yeah.
come on now. Hey, you're gonna have to give me a tutorial off screen.
Yeah, I got you.
I didn't know that. But they say, you know, if you hit that snooze button, what happens is you start to go back into a deep state of sleep, and it
Mhm.
actually could ruin your entire day by going back into that deep state of
Mm.
sleep. Because if you abruptly wake up, your mind is actually in the phase of deep rest. And by waking up after you hit the snooze button, the rest of your day, your body's just kind of off. And the reason is because your mind is telling you you should be sleeping right now
Mm.
because you got back into that deep state and you were only in that deep state for 5, 6, 7 minutes or whatever your snooze
Wow.
button was. Yeah. But
That's interesting.
another thing that you had said, man, I watched that reel that you put up where you dropped was those hundies?
Those are 105s because at the
105s.
time somebody stole the hundreds and I would
Ah,
have them.
but you know, I thought that was a really admirable video to put up because a lot of people don't show that side of
No.
things. You know, when you're on social media, you see highlight reels like,
Yep.
"Hey, look at me!" You know,
Yep. Yep.
you see the highlight reels. But by putting that up, Dwayne, you kind of normalized yourself, and um, you kind of took a step back to take a step forward. And the reason that I'm bringing that up is because you know you could probably put up the 105s today,
Mhm.
and that's a breakthrough, that's success.
Mhm.
And I think what folks see in that video is your success is your success. Your greatness is your greatness. It's very personal, and a lot of folks they measure themselves to a specific standard or a
Yep.
specific person. And we do a lot of measuring and a lot of gauging our success because we want it to look like somebody else. We want it to align to somebody else. I've seen Ronnie Coleman put up some big boy weights over
Big
time,
boy weights.
big boy weights. And I've always wanted to do that. I don't do the things that align to doing what he was doing, but I always admired that. And, but he was Mr. Olympia
9
12
times.
9 times, and
9.
that's still a record, or did somebody break that recent?
Oh, no, it's still
Yeah,
he's tied. Yeah. No. Yeah, he's tied.
with Arnold or somebody new?
No, he's I have to look it up for sure, but he's tied with somebody.
Okay.
Let's see. Why you say that?
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
your point?
Well, and the thing is, you know, he went toe to toe with Jay Cutler for many
Yeah.
years. I think Jay finally started to get him at the end of their
Yep.
careers. But both of those folks, like their greatness was their greatness. Jay wasn't looking at Ronnie, and Ronnie wasn't looking at Jay. They were looking at themselves,
Yep.
and to make that journey personal. I think that's how you become great is when you make it personal. Like
Got it.
I'm not a faster bike rider than Lance Armstrong. I'll never
Right.
be a. But you know what? I have greatness on my bike. That's my piece to success. That's my thing to, you know, speaking to my overarching greatness, I guess. So
Yeah, no,
who
100%.
do you got? Who do you
So
got?
it's Lee Haney and Ronnie Coleman both are tied at 8.
I don't know who Lee is. He a new guy?
No, Lee Haney, he had it from 84 to 91 straight.
So that
And
was after Arnold,
yeah,
right?
that was after Arnold.
So
And
Arnold,
then
Lee,
Ronald had it
Ronnie.
for 98 to 205 to 2005.
And that's when
So
Jay
Lee
got him.
Haney is he actually has his own shows as well. I
Huh.
mean, you've probably seen him,
Yeah,
but
I'm sure.
he's more on the Arnold classical side of bodybuilding, not the huge oversized side of the
Yeah.
Ronnie Coleman. But
There,
yes, they're both tied
there's
at 8.
I just want to preface for everybody that's listening at home. We are talking about bodybuilding,
Yeah.
just about some bodybuilding greats over the time. Now they're starting to get back more like old school a little bit more, right? Like the physique is a little thinner now.
No, not
Oh, it's
not
still
for
big
not
boy.
for open. Not for
Okay,
open. Yeah, open
it's still
is
Ronnie style.
yeah.
Yeah.
The current champion is what's his name? Samson. Samson, he's about 6'1", 6'3",
Mm,
and he's
big
another
boy.
really big fella. The previous champions, they're all like 5'5", 5'4", but they're like tanks.
Yeah.
They're that whole body style. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Big boys.
no, so what you're talking about is the IFBB and the NPC are actually getting into the natural realm
Mm,
because a lot of the enhanced guys, they all look alike. Me and Jeff
yeah.
actually talked about that yesterday. They're all taking the same stuff and they all
Sure.
look alike. So
Hmm.
they're actually tapping into the natural realm and
Hmm.
looking at having more natural events as opposed to
I
all of the big time ones.
I think that's good. Being in the fitness industry, one of the things that I am oftentimes frustrated with is a lot of us that measure ourselves to somebody that we see on the screen is not always natural.
Yes,
And
yes.
yeah, and being in the fitness industry, they say health is wealth, man, and I completely agree. And I've taken things over the year, full transparency, and I've tried different things. I dabbled here, I dabbled there, but at the end of the day, man, if you do it all natty, if you do it natural, you're also taking care of your health, and I think that's the longevity piece. Like,
Yeah.
you can look a certain way in your 30s and your 40s, but all that stuff, man, it has side effects.
Yes,
So be
sir.
very weary of what you're putting in your body, what you're consuming, and that's why I love D2M 8 week. Because, man, we were changing lives in the sense of people were getting off of medication,
Yep.
people were reducing their blood pressure, getting beating diabetes. Like we had heard some massive success stories, and that was really, really astonishing. So always just anytime you put something into your body, and I know we're all over the map right now,
All
but
over the map.
holy
Because I got
cow.
something else to say too. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
go ahead. No, I was just gonna say it's just be very wary of what you put in your body, and yeah, very conscious of what you're consuming, not just with your food, but mentally and emotionally
Mm,
and all that stuff, man. Be careful with what you watch and what you hear and what you listen and what you really take in.
amen to that, brother. So going back to my dumbbell post,
Hmm.
I had this message sent to me. Said, I love that you showed yourself falling and struggling until you made it. I've never
Hmm.
seen an influencer / coach do that before. And for me, it was the most motivating thing I ever watched.
Hmm. Yeah, I freaking love that, D. And I saw that and I laughed. I thought it was funny.
Of course.
But it's not funny. It's not funny. It's human, right? And
Yeah.
it wasn't a mistake. It was a learning opportunity. It was a growth opportunity. And
Yeah.
most folks would be very ashamed to post something like that, or embarrassed. And we've talked about it. Like, hey, man, this is my journey. I don't care
Nope.
that I fell on my bike day one. I don't care that the dumbbells slipped out of it. I don't care because I'm working on me. And that's
Yeah.
that's a thing that we all have to have in common. Like, this is your journey. If you
Yeah.
fall flat on your face, at least you're falling forward. And when you fall forward, that's Kaizen to a T. That's growth.
Absolutely. The funny part was the guys in the background did not flinch. Like
I would have flinched. I would have came over, helped you. Did
right.
anybody
I
help you
know.
or say
I,
anything?
I would have did that too, but no, it was just like
No. You this podcast might have to have a part two to it, because one of the things that I'm doing right now, and I've publicly said this, but I have been struggling a little mentally, and I'll tell you why, Dawain. It's because I lacked a lot of human interaction. Like, I work virtually. My wife is upstairs and she's busy from the start of the day to the end of the day, and I lack that environment of just having somebody to chat with. But the reason that I'm bringing this up, and like I said, we might have to go part 2 on this boy. The reason that I bring this up is because there's a disconnect in society where if somebody sees something like that 10, 20, 30 years ago, 5 or 6 or 7 people would have responded very quickly to you failing, falling, doing whatever, those dumbbells going down. In today's society, people will look, it's not my problem, and people will carry on. And I think that's one thing that we all have to take very seriously, because without human interaction and without that connection with other human beings, men especially, and this is where I was listening to this podcast, Rich Roll, shout out Rich Roll, and he has this individual on, and they're talking about there's less men's clubs, and with less men's clubs, there's a missing connection amongst men. And what's happening is it's actually disrupting society as a whole, because there's a lack of connection and lack of communication. And I know, again, all over the map. But 10 years ago, somebody would have jumped to action and helped you out. And I think, folks, community is oftentimes the answer. So get yourself a supportive community. Hey, that sounds like E2M. But get a supportive network around you. That's another answer amongst all this stuff we're talking about today.
Absolutely, we all over the place. I don't even care. This is extended episode. You're welcome. But to talk about that, that's true, man. So I'm similar situation, working remotely. My wife's upstairs, I'm downstairs. What I do have is the guys that I hang out with via WhatsApp. We do a group chat WhatsApp. We might smoke some cigars. That's cool. We watch the game together. And that group chat is that's my boys club.
Do you video each other?
Yeah,
that's cool. I like that.
Like a group video.
That's really
but we're texting during the day. We're sending memes and reels. The stuff that you can't send publicly.
Yeah,
we having those kind of locker room conversations, and it keeps me connected. And it gives me an outlet for that kind of thing, man. And like you mentioned, I think we lack that. And when you lack that, it shows up in different places, whether it's you're looking for gratification from social media, you do certain things, to try to get that, from somebody you don't know as opposed to somebody you're building with. So definitely agree with you on that, man. So all right, man. So we land the plane, or we parachute into a different plane. What do we do?
Let's land this plane. Let's as we land this plane, let's shoot the parachute and let's pick up this conversation next week about this, because I do want to. Yeah, I know, right? I do want to pick up on this topic, because I just got online real quick, and I did a quick search, and there's all sorts of data that supports this idea of a lacking connection, lacking of that environmental productivity with males specifically. But I want to dive into this a little bit more next week, folks. Next week, you better dial in, because we're going to go deep on this topic.
I like it. I already, I got it queued up in my mind.
I like it. Let's
write it down so we don't forget. Between now and next week, the world is going to turn upside down and around.
Oh yeah, always.
always. So, all right, y'all, listen, we appreciate you guys riding this ride with us. This is a little bit longer of an episode, but I really feel deep down that you guys appreciate it. And let us know in the comment section. Let us know, tagging us and posting, and shout out to the folks that do it, man. We see y'all. We appreciate it. Continue to do so. And share this YouTube link. Like, this YouTube link is, people always say, how can we support? One way you can support is help get more views on our videos. And the way you do that is you share. You tell people about it. You send it to people. Send it to your group text. The ladies send it to your group text message. Like, hey, you should check this out. You should listen to this. Fellas, do the same thing. Get more views and more eyes on it, man. So, all right, Bradley, close us out, my brother.
Hey, folks, sometimes it's not always about the answer. Sometimes it's not always about the product or the finish line. Sometimes it's about what we learn from start to finish. So if you're in the mix, extract something, apply it to each day, get to your finish line a winner.
Skip.
Yeah.